Greetings YouTube, time for another bargain video, and today we're starting out with some gaming books. Now I wasn't sure if I actually had a copy of the Book of Violet Darkness in hardcover, actual print physically, so I picked this up for $1 at Goodwill, and they had also had Legends and Layers Path of Shadows, and interestingly it said NA on there, which means this was actually supposed to have ended up in their e-commerce department. And it was never supposed to hit the shelves, and so I guess somebody got in trouble for this. But I looked at the guy when he told me this, and I'm like, well, you know, I'm standing here now and willing to pay money for it, so how much do you want for it? So he told it to me for $2. And then we have the Legends and Layers Mastercraft Anthology, which I knew I didn't have, and I paid $2 for that one. Then we have the Great Big Book of Monsters, Goblins, Dragons, and Giants, which is a had some nice illustrations in it, and so I thought I'd give it a read, maybe do a review of it, talk about how it could be applied to your, classic tabletop gaming kind of a situation. And I picked that up at Goodwill for $3. And we have Chairman Mao's 4-minute physical fitness plan, which made me smile. The accompanying record was not with it. It originally had a 45 with it, but I thought that was great, and I picked it up for $1. My wife's been doing yoga and some other exercises, and it made me smile when I saw this. My wife can now do Chairman Mao's exercise program. Then we have Racettes, or what's it? Racinet, full-colored pictorial history of Western costume. And while lots of the pictures are quite attractive, the earlier pictures. Yes, we started getting into some fencing period. Yeah, we get some arms and armor illustrations in here, and so I thought these were quite attractive. I thought they might make nice references or inspiration for people, and I paid $1 for that at a yard sale. And we had a book, I'd never heard of this, Star Wars: The Jedi vs. Sith, The Essential Guide to the Force. Never heard of this before. Got it at a yard sale for like $1. American Knives, and I picked this up at an antique shop that had some really wonderfully high-end stuff. Like, you would not have believed their gun room. It was just extraordinary what they had in there for 18th and 19th century firearms and swords, and it was wonderful. And I got this for $5. I guess the owner of the place was decluttering some of his own library, so I benefited from that. Then we have Railroaded, the Transcontinental's Making of Modern America. I may pass that on to my father when I'm done, because he's a train fan. How This Homosexual Saved Civilization. With a title like that, how could I not read it? And Iron Thunder, the battle between the Monitor and the Merrimack, which was the first two true ironclad vessels ever face off against each other during the American Civil War. I picked up 3 issues of the Wild Cards comic, which is based on J.R.R. Martin's Wild Card superhero series, one that I really recommend if you have never read it. Some of the best stuff available, and the Mutants and Mastermind supplement for it, I think it's the 3rd edition, could be 2nd or 3rd, I don't remember exactly, is also an incredibly wonderful reference, and with all kinds of stats, so you could convert it to any Supers game that you so desire. I believe I actually may have read these back when they were released, and I think it was '88. They were $5 a piece, and I paid $1 a piece for them today. Star Wars Tag and Bink, which is apparently a humorous comic dealing with the Star Wars universe, so I thought I'd give it a read. We have an Alpha Flight Comet, the double-sized issue, which I thought I'd go a little wandering down memory lane. And how could I not pick up a comic called Thriller with the giant green monster holding a Soviet-style missile or bomb that just was too great. We have The Witch's Shield, Protection Magic, and Psychic Self-Defense. And Manta Man, Swimming with Shark, which is supposed to be kind of an adult humor take on comics. So I thought I'd give that a read. And we have The Drunkard's Walk, How Randomness Rules Our Lives, which is, kind of a testament to how we all live. Then we have 2 guidebooks. The Audubon Society Field Guide to North American Fishes, Whales, and Dolphins, and their guide to North American trees. Both my wife wanted those. We got them for $2 a piece at a yard sale. Then we have Authentic Happiness, Using the New Positive Psychology to Realize Your Potential for Lasting Fulfillment, a book my therapist wanted me to buy and read. So I did, and I'm probably going to read that next. I could use some authentic happiness at this point in my life. And then we have, for the last book today, is a woman's book of choices, Abortion, Menstruation, Extraction, and RU 486, which deals with birth control and abortion options for women in the real world, things that can be done outside of conventional healthcare systems. Because, let's face it, in the modern Republican America, women have no autonomy, and their rights to control their own bodies is being stripped away from them as fast as humanly possible. So I figured this reference book might be really useful to have in completely, offline information, so that no one knows what you're searching for when you're searching for it. I didn't know it, but it also has a library cover. It was kind of nice. So I picked that up off the Amazon secondary market. It's depressing, but, that's the world we live in now. Time for movies. Harry and Henderson's Birdman, Moonstruck, Between the Folds, which is a documentary about origami, and specifically about people that have left traditional careers to become folders. 10 Things I Hate About You. I actually don't think I've ever seen this film. My wife likes it, and I've heard good things about it. The Homesman. Disney's Oz the Great and Powerful. Now You See Me, which actually wasn't too bad. Beautiful Creatures. Live Forever, The Rise and Fall of Brit Pop. Stir of Echoes, which I think actually aged fairly well. The Big Empty. This was interesting. I got to do a review about that one. Into the Woods. Justice League. Doom. I Am Number 4. That wasn't so great. 3 Harry Potter movies, because we're trying to flush out our collection. Underworld Awakenings. The Ghoul Log. Yes, this is a videotape, or rather a video of, shows my age there, a video of a fire theme for Halloween, which has stories and special effects, and my wife was very happy when she saw it. The entire Tick series, and I've never seen the live-action Tick. Now I can. The Rise of the Legend, which is a martial arts film. Comic Book The Movie with Mark Hamill, which is kind of a mockumentary about comic fans. Duel, and lastly, The Sound of Music. I got that for my wife, and she quite liked it. Interestingly, we watched another musical the next day. I didn't really think about the fact that I was doing this, so she watched musicals 2 days in a row, which kind of, was more musicals than she wanted to watch at one time. Okay, on to more miscellaneous things. We have some music. Classic Sinatra, Compact Jazz, Ella Fitzgerald, Compact Jazz, Duke Ellington and Friends, some Louis Armstrong, specifically the Satchmo's hits, more Louis Armstrong, Linda Ronstadt, Mariah Carey's Christmas album, and another Have Yourself a Jazzy Little Christmas. I picked these up at an estate sale for like $3, I think. We have 2 giant wooden dice. The top one is hardwood. I'm going to keep that one. The bottom one is softwood. I'm probably going to weaponize that one, or at least turn it into a scepter of some variety. Then we have a reproduction of a bas relief of Minerva. It's ceramic. I'm going to hang that up. And we have 2 yo-yos. My wife liked these. This is a reproduction of an original card that existed a long time ago. This was from 2004. I guess originally it was in the 70s. We picked those up for $1 a piece at a yard sale. We have a painted turtle rock, which is going to go in the garden. I bought that for $1. Made me smile. We have a giant sun, which is going to go over a doorway, so it's going to kind of come like that right there. It actually has a slight chip on one of the rays, but when it's up above a doorway, you're never going to notice that. We have 2 knives. We have a fruit knife, because I have a deep affection for fruit knives. I'm not sure why. And it's in really good shape. It's a Colonial. And then we have a Leatherman, one of the CS models. My wife was looking for a scissor style model at one point. I found this for $5, so that was a good big deal. We have a wooden letter opener, an alligator. This is, I think, an African piece. So that could be a crocodile. I'm not sure, but I like the overall design. I like letter openers. We have some bells. Have a nice tone. We have 2 sets of these now, so I think I may mount them side by side or on a door, so that they will ring when the door is open. We'll see if I can get that to work. So I'm gonna have to make sure it's loose, so that it has a nice flop when the whole thing will make a jangly sound. So I'm not sure how I'm going to do that yet. It's a bit of a design challenge. We have 2 figures. The Jurassic Park dinosaur, I think it's a Spinosaurus. Doesn't stand up very well. And an R2-D2, which I thought was really quite cute. And we also have here some bells. Now this is an original Sarna bell. I bought it for the label. The bell actually sounds horribly because the bottom's been cut off. So I don't know if this is a manufacturing fault or someone modified this after the fact, because the ringer barely touches the inside. So I don't know what happened to this bell, but the tag is intact, and that's really what I wanted, was the tag. My wife likes the Sarna tags. And you look at this, you can see the shape of the bell is no longer this shape. So I'm thinking somebody mangled this thing after it was made. I'm not sure why. Then we have this one, which I really liked the shape. That was really quite attractive. We have a Buddha head, which is an incense burner. You put incense in there, and then the incense comes out there. You also just use it as a joss stick holder. This is fairly solid. We have a brass cat hook. And I like the patina on this. You can see it was used. I picked it up at that an estate sale. This, along with those, the 3 connected bells I got for $5 at an estate sale. We have this, which is a Buddha symbol, Buddha palm. Then we have this. I have not bought any ceramics in quite a while, and this is an amateur piece, unsigned. It's well glazed, but it's really quite well done. It's nice consistency. It's a really great shape. The physicality of it is wonderful. It just feels like great in your hand, and with a great drinking vessel. So I just couldn't pass up on that one. I haven't bought any in a while. I've been trying to be very picky about what I buy, because I have quite a bit of pieces. But this piece right here just said, you got to take me home. So I did. In the next section will be tools. Alright, we have some clothing. We have a set of bean-lined pants. I picked those for $8. They're brand new. The button is still in the pocket, so yeah, they never got worn. A skirt for my wife, and a funky hat. My wife now has a gong. Got that at an antique shop. A flashlight, which I'm not sure if it works, but it has this butt cap from Night Eyes, and that's worth like 10 or 12 bucks, and I paid $1 for that, so I made out on that deal. A gear I got at a flea market. I'm going to turn that into some kind of a weapon build. A bullet level for my mother-in-law. Paid a little bit more than that, but it's vintage, and I know the guy who's sold it. He's a nice old dude, so I didn't mind spending a little bit more. A scythe, hand sickle rather. This needs to be sharpened on the inside edge and tightened up a bit, but for $1, I thought I'd give it a try. Then we have a lot. Now this is a lot that I got at a tool sale from someone's estate. Large nuts and bolts, large lock washers, brand new pair of Harbor Freight vice grips, tape measure, Allen keys, a small crowbar which I need to clean up, which apparently has become a hobby of mine, cleaning up pry bars and flat bars. I still want to get her a flat bar, because flat bars are a little bit different than crowbars. Another flashlight I can probably use as parts or to rebuild and give to somebody. This incredibly huge magnifying glass. I mean, this thing is just ginormous. Look at the size of this thing. It's big. And it's got pivots, so I'm going to probably try that, turning it into a death ray, maybe to heat water or something. I'd have to build a rig to hold it in place, but that'll be an interesting project. And then lastly, we have this, which is a hand-cranked sharpening rig, a grinding wheel. And you clamp it onto a workbench. It's clamped onto my table at the moment. and then you crank it up and you sharpen tools with it. Now, I've seen a number of these over the years, but none of them has had the included tool rest. So this was a great find. Great gears, everything works beautifully. It's in nice shape. And for this entire lot of stuff right here, I paid $23. That's an incredible bargain. So I was really quite happy with that. So there you go, folks. This has been the latest bargain video.